We're up.
Yay! Welcome, everyone. Lindsay, my counterpart, is going to be uploading the link to Twitter and Facebook for all of our live viewers that tune in faithfully every week. We appreciate it more than you'll know. My cat would like to say hello, then he's going to go with daddy. um, we are going to talk about the week of Big Brother Canada. Uh, we left off last Monday. So Phil and what's his brother's name? Oh, right, Nick. Phil and Nick had, that's so rude, but sorry. Uh, they had just won HOH, voted in Canada's second best. I believe Nikki came in first, but that has not yet to be confirmed. They won it by chance with the roulette wheel. We talked about last week our predictions on who they would nominate. And so we'll take off from there. Linz, are we all hot wired for the live feeders that are watching
Yeah,
this?
I'm a little bit slower than normal because I'm not 100% tonight. I can't even find you right now. There you are. Nope, that's not you.
Hi.
There, I'm
No, that's
here.
all
I'm
good.
here. I'm
Uh,
sorry.
That's all good. So this week, we'll start off with the veto competition and who the brothers nominated.
Mm-hmm.
So do we want to go? So the veto is won by, shoot, I can't even remember this week. Is that bad?
The
Like
video
that's
was won by Ramsey, and it was the most emotional
oh
situation ever.
my God. That's right. Because you know what? I wasn't focused on who won the veto. I was focused on what was going on with Ramsey. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
even like invested in that veto comp at all. I was just so heartbroken for Ramsey. That must be why this week is such a blur for me because honestly, all I've been doing is like looking at Ramsey's Twitter, seeing if there's any updates on how his dad is doing. Like I've been
Yeah.
more invested in like making sure Ramsey's okay versus what's going on with the veto comp. Yes, that's right. It was the spin cycle veto comp.
Yeah, and
And Maddie
it was
and
such a
Ramsey
class act. Oh,
and he did so good in that veto comp too. He like was like amazing. Like his time was probably like well, in comparison to the last place ones, it was amazing compared to like
yeah.
Nikki, who had kept going in the spin cycle. That was the highlight of the veto for me was her going in the
Yeah.
spin cycle and being like, money wasn't on the line. I would not even be invested in this. I would have already forfeited this competition. She was pretty hilarious in that competition. But I was definitely rooting for Ramsey the whole episode and literally like so choked up and tearful when he was getting the news about his dad. What were your thoughts on the episode?
I think it was one of the best episodes that Big Brother's had this year, and I think that's because it was genuine, and it was you can't plan for that kind of stuff to happen, obviously for good reasons, but they handled it with grace and dignity, and they made it about him and not so much about um, the game, which is what it should be about. And I think it was Netta or someone like, oh, it was Sarah who said afterwards, like, this is what Big Brother is. It's a family and we support each other. And that's why this community comes around it. And I thought, at the end of the day, it's a game. And they were also supportive. And Maddie, like, stepped up to the plate. And it was really, really well done. And I was very, very happy that they brought him back on Thursday night to give everyone an update. Um, yeah, they just handled this really, really well. So I was a big fan, and I really do. I've been thinking of Ramsey as well, and I think his dad. There were complications, but I think he's on the
Well,
mend. And
he had 6 stents put in. So for people that aren't in the healthcare field, I'm a nurse, so that is huge. Like 6 stents to first of all survive that heart attack. That's like monumental to still be
Mhm.
living after needing 6 stents. So essentially, his heart is so blocked that normally they do like a double bypass, a triple bypass, and worst case scenario, oftentimes we see a quadruple, which is 4 stents. So the fact that he got 6 stents is like there was an angel sitting on his shoulder. If anyone out there believes in that, like
Mhm.
it's amazing. So like kudos to him. I really hope he pulls through, and I do hope that if there is an All Stars, Ramsey gets a second
I could
chance.
see that
I
happening.
was thinking a lot about after the episode. Just he was such a competitor. He was just so just natural in the house. Like he was just who he was, and there wasn't much fake to him. And I really enjoyed that. And I enjoyed all the shenanigans that he had with Nikki. Like they were always going around. Like they had built that mat fort in the high roller room, like at the near the beginning on feeds. That was enjoyable to watch, and just to see like his goofy side. But he was just one of those salt of the earth people, and I was sad to see him leave. I think he definitely had potential to win the game if he made it to Final Four for sure. He was a competitor, and everyone liked him. He wasn't really on anyone's radar to get out of the house. So, but again, best wishes to Ramsey. If this gets to him, we'll definitely tag him in and afterwards just to say our well wishes, and that we're sad that you've left the game. From also from a standpoint of the pool, you were on my team, Ramsey, and I'll be sad to see you leave for that reason as well.
Yeah. Sorry, I have something in my eye. Yeah, and he left with such grace, right? Like he left. He was so at peace with his decision, and so it just was easier. I don't know. It was so well done.
Really, and it was awesome the moment that Jared had with him, like just being able to, first of all, relate
I
to
look like
him and
I'm
what
gonna
he was
cry
going
because I'm
through.
sick.
What's that?
I said I look like I'm gonna cry because I'm so sick, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's because she's emo about Ramsey leaving. That's what's going on here. No, I'm kidding. So moving on, so Ramsey ends up leaving. They end up saying that Ramsey would have used the veto on himself, although there is some speculation on the Twitterverse that he wanted to use it on Maddie and then leave the house. We'll never know if that's true or not. If it was me, even if like I hadn't made the decision to leave the house, I would never use it on, like, I would always use it on myself. Like, even if I knew I was leaving, I'd still, like, legitimately, you're going to use it on yourself. So you should, like, play those
mhm.
cards the way you would have truthfully played them. And I think Ramsey would have done that regardless if he had have had the opportunity to say that before leaving. Um, and so then Maddie gets left on the block, and Tim volunteers to be put up on the block
Oh yeah, you were so
after Phil
worried.
and Nick get, yeah, and Phil and Nick get like extremely like just against him in a millisecond because they felt as though Tim was talking down to them, which he kind of was because they didn't have enough balls to put Jared on the block. So Tim kind of called Nick out on that, and he was not having it, and went storming up to the HOH room to talk to his brother about it, saying, "Oh my goodness, like I can't believe Tim is talking to me this way." And in all honesty, Tim has always been honest with him. They've always had these conversations, and that's part of the reason that Nick has respected him so much is because he's been so truthful with him game wise. So I can't see this conversation in the hot tub being any different. I did see it on live feeds and as well on the show. But anyhow, they end up putting him on the block, and kudos to Tim for saying I volunteered because he did volunteer. Another potentially game-winning move if these people are silly enough to keep him in the game until he wins it. Like these moves he's playing are crazy, never seen before, never seen survived before moves. And may I add that he is one of the only pawns that have survived this season because most often the people that started out being pawns ended up going home. So, what were your thoughts on Tim going up as replacement?
It was fine. I didn't care. I knew he wasn't going to go home. You were all concerned he was. I knew he wasn't going. I think the brothers thought that they were doing this big move when in reality, it really wasn't a big move. I think they were kind of pissed because at the end, they kind of knew Maddie was going home. And they didn't think it was going to go that way. And I think that I was impressed with Maddie because I think she was upset about Ramsey on the one hand, and then on the other hand, like, I think she put up a good battle. She fought hard. She played Big Brother. She may not have been the nicest person, but she fought, and having a meeting and saying like all the things that like I've been saying on this like broadcasting thing that we do, saying like, like he's the person to get out. She said that. Like no one would ever want her to win, and they 5-0. So whatever. It's kind of predictable at the end of the game, or at the end of the day. Sometimes it's just about popularity. And it was like a part of me is frustrated that he stayed, to be perfectly honest, because I think she fought harder, but that's just me.
Yeah, I was surprised with how well spoken she was and how rational she was in her plea to stay and her house meeting. I really didn't believe she could play not emotionally in the game, and she proved otherwise. I did respect that. The rest of Maddie's game, as we all know, I have not cared for, but
Yeah.
in that moment, I was like, finally, you're playing this game like with some rationalization. And a part of me, as much as I loved him, and I'm Team Tim all the way, part of me is kind of like, house guests, like, did you not hear anything she had to say? And if you saw that all happen on live feeds, the house guests were kind of questioning her and interrogating her a little more than her just speaking to them, and kind of like providing arguments for Tim every step of the way as she was doing her plea. So I'm just shocked that no one is on to him as much as, well, they're beginning to become on to him this week, as we see in that Kelsey trying to get him on the block when Cassandra's HOH, because Cassandra
We're
ends up
moving
winning
too fast.
HOH. We really are. So it was kind of cool that families were competing in HOH this week, eh?
I
I
cried
thought that was,
so much. I cried like a baby because like I was like, it's not that like I talk to my parents all the time, so I think it wasn't like, but my parents don't live in Ontario, so I don't physically see them, but because I talk to them all the time, like I don't feel disconnected. But I'm thinking to myself as like all of them are like dying to see their families, like they haven't spoke to them in like 2 months. Like that's tough, and you're going through this emotional state. And I like put myself in each of their shoes and was completely like emotional, like Cassandra and her dad. I thought her dad was super funny. um Jared's sister looked nothing like Jared. She looked much older. I thought that was his mother. Very confusing. Nikki's friend was exactly like Nikki, but a man. Kelsey's sister was beautiful, obviously. Joel's mom looked like exactly what I thought she'd look like. Who else was there? Who else was there? Oh, Phil and Nick's mom. Like, it was so
yeah.
good. It was so good. I loved it. It was well done. I think Big Brother needed to do something because like morale in the house was kind of down, and I think that was it. So great, great comp. I loved it. I've never seen them do anything. I did think to myself though, when like what's his name? Oh my god, I love him. John Party. Like, remember when his dad and him were like disconnected through a plexiglass and they couldn't touch each other, but they were like, "How's mom? How's this? How's that?" Like, I was like, well, these people physically got to see like hug and hold their family members. So that part was kind of like, oh, but I think they needed it. I think it was a tough week. So
Yeah, for me it was awesome to see them compete, and that competition wasn't easy. Slop getting thrown in your face, cold water being poured on you. I mean, they really faced the Big Brother elements, one could say. However, I thought it was kind of odd because there was, according to what I read on feeds, I didn't actually see these feed footage, but what I've been following, um, they passed on information as they were hugging, like, oh, this is how you're being perceived on TV, this is who's fan favorite. Like, a lot of information was divulged in these short exchanges, and that we haven't really ever seen, one, so to speak, in Big Brother history. Like, Big Brother's been pretty stingent upon like not like secluding jury, not letting the outer world affect this game, and the fact that they had those moments and that information was kind of seeped into their heads, kind of game fucks you in a way, like it messes with them because they've been talking about it on feeds. And I don't know. I'm on the fence about, if they all should have got family time, maybe just one of them should have got, like the winner should have, Cassandra should have just got a few minutes. Like they all could have seen their family
They
physically,
probably
but
didn't
not.
plan for it to be that way. But then I think after like everything that happened, like they probably just like go out and like see them for a few minutes and that'll be that. And really like they would just say something like Jared's like a fan favorite or something. Like they wouldn't say too much. And it's stuff like I don't know. Maybe they talked about it a lot. I didn't see anything, but like it didn't seem to be too long.
It didn't, but apparently, like, I didn't know this. I just found this out on this week following Hamster Watch. But Jared and Cassandra know each other, eh? Like they have mutual friends and
Well,
they
that's really
like
shitty because
of each other. They're not.
well,
So there's this kind of
let's talk about who Cassandra put up.
yeah. So let's go there. So Cassandra ends up putting up the brothers, and she ends up putting up Nikki as a pawn, and the brothers were like, "Oh shit, we're gonna spoil in a few minutes." So for anyone that doesn't want to hear spoilers, this would be the chance to just cut us until after you saw the veto ceremony. So she puts up brothers, and she puts up what did I say, Nikki, and it was really a tough decision for her. She really, this episode showed how much she actually trusts Joel, really, like in GR and in game. Like she trusts Joel, and they haven't made an alliance name yet, which I find kind of funny. Not that we've seen anyway. But they really, both of them wholeheartedly trust each other. I think it's a dynamic alliance. I'm super excited for it because I love both of them as players. And I was surprised that Joel wasn't more to solidify her as only with him and like solidify that dynamic duo. I'm surprised he didn't push more for Tim to be put up. Tim and the brothers, not the brothers and Nikki.
She's not
Because
going to do
Nikki,
that
if you
yet.
take her to final two,
Yeah, she'll take
no,
Joel if she goes to the final two for sure. Tim would win, but I think she's making a big move. Tim wasn't her move this week, and she knew it. So I think she's so much smarter than I ever gave her credit for. Ever, ever, ever. I'm enjoying her being HOH. She's not what?
she was on our like the last of the totem pole for our picks. Remember, it was her and
She was
Christine.
my second last. She was my last person. Because she just looks ditzy and dumb, and she's nothing of those things. She's smart. She's strategic. She's playing a great game. I think she'll cut like Tim any minute, but I don't think that move is her move this week. But I do think okay. So basically, here's where the spoilers happen. So the brothers win veto, and we haven't seen this yet. We haven't seen this yet, but something happens that they have to like shave their heads and stuff, and it came down to Jared, and Jared was like, I won't shave my head, and the brothers won HOH because of it, or veto because of it. And then, shocker of all shockers, guess who she puts up on the block? Jared. I love it. Jared's going home.
Yeah,
sure. She got Jared out.
Loved it. This pretty much solidified if Cassandra makes it to final two, she's winning. This week was a huge week for her because not only does she have great social persuasion in the house, she is able to persuade almost anyone to not believing that it's her week to go. No, Kelsey is kind of on to that. She just started being onto it, but Kelsey will be at Cassandra's mercy once Jared's gone, and Cassandra knows that. Kelsey will be not gunning for her because she will have no one in the game left. A lot of talk was talked on Twitter about this was kind of production producing the brothers to get off the block and win the POV because of the fact that no one else would have shaved their head. Like Nikki wouldn't have shaved her head, Kelsey wouldn't have shaved her head, Jarrett didn't want to shave his head. Like no one else was willing to do that. And I guess from what I saw in feeds, it was poker chip related. So you had to like put a certain amount of chips towards each thing that they said. And whoever put the most chips would get that challenge. So like one of them was on slop for the rest of the week. One of them was shave their heads. I can't remember the other ones, but each task had a certain amount of points associated with it, and you didn't know what the points were until you put your chips in and you saw who won. I believe that's how the POV went. If I'm wrong, please tell me otherwise on Twitter. So that's the thing. Like really, this competition could have been mirrored to whoever they wanted to win because they weren't divulging the points associated with the task until after whoever put the most chips in won, you know? But Kelsey was saying on feeds she had like 80 chips left, or it was either Kelsey or Jarrett. One of the two said they had 80 chips left and they just chose not to do it because they would never shave their head. And I don't blame them. If I was a girl, I wouldn't want to shave my head either. But then Cassandra, it was so funny to watch her on feeds. Yeah, totally. He could have, but that just proves kind of Jarrett's facade. Well, not facade, but he highly cares about how he looks, right?
Yeah, but that cost him
no probably
that cost him the game, in my opinion. And I haven't seen it yet, so I can't really like be matter of fact, but I think it's what cost them the game. I think the brothers are like, whatever, don't care. And you know what? If that's how it is, like he deserves to go. It's his time. There's no way if he's fighting to get Nikki out, he wouldn't have to fight too hard. But it comes down to Joel, Tim, and like Tim might be stupid and be like, Nikki's out, you know what he does. But it's gonna be okay, let's do this is Jarrett hand, this is Nikki hand. It's gonna be Joel, Tim, and the brothers. And then it's Kelsey. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
even if Tim like flips, it's still he's going.
I think it's going to be a tie. I think that the brothers don't want Jarrett out as much as they flip-flop about it. They think that Jarrett is still on their side. Little do they know. So I think it'll be Jarrett and Kelsey voting, or Jarrett and Kelsey and the brothers voting to keep Jarrett. And then I think it will be Tim and Joel. And then I think Cassandra will be the tiebreaker and send Jarrett packing. Unless Tim pulls a wild card for some reason and decides to evict Nikki, which would be.
You really think the brothers are gonna? You really think that the brothers, this close in the end, the biggest VP, he's like the goddamn quarterback in the Big Brother house. You think they're gonna like be like, oh, you can still say, heck no, they're not gonna do that. They're getting him out. They're smart, and they're going to go which way the wind is going. They're not very smart players. And they don't care about Kelsey. They were just like, they never spoke to Jarrett. And now in like the last 2 weeks, they've been friends. No way. You get Jarrett out, Kelsey's going to go after, and then Tim's your number one target. That's what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. Honestly, and let's talk about Mitch sitting in HOH or jury or whatever and having like Raul walk in and then Maddie walk in and now Jared's gonna walk in. Like he's gonna be like, ha ha ha, ha. It's amazing.
My goodness. I wish I keep asking on Twitter, please, Big Brother gods, I just want to see what's going on in the jury house. Wouldn't it be amazing if there was a fifth feed for the jury house just to see the gameplay that's going on in there? Because I imagine Mitch hasn't stopped playing the game. I highly doubt that he has. And the fact that pretty much 2/3 of the third wheel is going to be walking through those doors will just be sweet success for him in the way he played the game. And I'm over the moon happy for him, just because, I mean, he's in the jury house and that's not how we wanted to see his game played out. But we'll see how it unfolds. I don't know. Tim is such a wild card. He legitimately is. And up until this point, he has entrusted Jarrett with a lot of information. And Jarrett, as I've been saying, week after week, he's he's really been able to persuade people in that house. So you never know how the wind may blow. It might be Nikki walking out that door, and if it is, it's the most monumental mistake that Tim will ever make in his BB Can 4 game.
He's not
I
going to
really
do it.
hope
He's
that
way too smart.
Jared.
He's going to respect Cassandra at this late. He could vote Cassandra out when she was up last time because there were tons of numbers and he knew, right? Like, this is not the time to play stupid. And he's that much closer. You keep the biggest player in the house. This is so stupid. No way. He's going out. It's going to be so-and-so to 1. Like, there's no friggin' way. He's out. And he probably knows it. And he's probably pissed. But them's the bricks. You should have shaved your head.
It's so true. And if he gets evicted this week and he sits in that jury house, he is going to say, was this $100,000 decision that I made in keeping this hair? That hair will grow back. You're a boy. It's not that big of a deal for boys to shave their head. And perhaps, because I'm not a fan of long-haired boys, perhaps he would look hot if we couldn't hear him, because he sounds very nasally. So if we couldn't hear him and he had a shaved head, he might just potentially be attractive. I'm not a fan of his hair. I don't know if anyone wants to tweet at us about Jared's hair. I'm not a fan of his hair, but I am a fan of the game that he's played thus far. But I will be happy that this week one of your players for sure will be going home again. That makes me happy. Now my 2 players that remain have to pull out win for the next few weeks.
It'll be 4 versus 2.
Really, I know it's ridiculous how much you're winning by. But can you believe that next week is a double eviction? Now, this is the next thing I wanted to talk about before today. Yeah, this week is the double eviction. Doesn't that blow your mind? Because this is supposed to be the longest season of Big Brother ever. And it's a double eviction, which means we're closer to the finale. And we still have a lot of, not a whole lot of players left. Are they going to split the brothers? What are our thoughts here?
I don't know. I think the double eviction is going to happen. And I think it's going to be, I think Kelsey's going to fight really hard because I think her ass is grass, right? Like, they're going after that threesome. And I think, like, they'll get her out. If she loses, this is like the wild card situation, because, like, think of, like, for me, the most monumental, like, live eviction or whatever, live eviction was Brendan, like Rachel and Brendan. Like, they got Brendan out, and it was like they tried and he fought and he lost the thing, he lost the veto, and he knew he was going. And I think that she's going to be, like, public enemy number 1. But Cassandra can't play. I think if Joel wins it, he'll do it. But I guess we'll wait and see, right? Like, it's one of those things, like, it's probably going to be Joel, Cassandra, Tim to the final, possibly Nikki.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think Nikki, everyone's like, oh, who cares? But
yeah, no, Nikki is that person you want to bring just because she's a Sabrina, just not the level of annoying that Sabrina was. She's entertaining and she's legitimately likable. But she is the Sabrina of this season. Like, people are just bringing her to the end because they like to be around her, and she's a for sure $100,000 win. There's no way anyone can vote Nikki to win if she's brought to the final 2, unless she starts pulling out some major wins and shows us that she's been downplaying her strategic game in the game somehow, which would be, like, mind-blowing to me because I've been watching feeds. So there's no way. If you bring Nikki, solidified to get $100,000.
The only way that Tim and Cassandra are going to be, like, somewhat okay is if Joel and or Nikki win the HOH. If the brothers or Kelsey win, they're putting up Cassandra and Tim. They're not even going to play. They're going to, and, like, if one of them wins veto, Joel's going up. So that's what's going to happen. We're going to see what goes down on Thursday night. It's going to be a nail biter. I have a work event that night, so I'm going to be watching, like, Hamster Watch on our feeds, because I'm sure you'll be watching it, Mel. I'm very excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be watching when from work. I work days, and then I'll be watching and tweeting both Wednesday and Thursday. I'll be able to tweet this week. Last week I worked nights, so this week I'm on days, and I'll be able to come home and watch after. So you'll be hearing from us those 2 episodes this week. But I think that pretty much concludes our episode tonight, other than making predictions for the next HOH. Any predictions for the next HOH for double eviction?
I think
It's you.
I think maybe Tim, but maybe Kelsey. Those are my 2 picks.
Yeah, Kelsey's really good at questions, and usually the double eviction one is a really rushed episode. So they usually before or after or one of those type of HOH wins. That's quick and easy. So I predict that it'll be either Kelsey and or the brothers know they're in danger, so they might pull it out somehow. I hope it's a Tim win, but we'll see. And if Kelsey goes up, God knows what'll happen if Jarrett's evicted this week. She might be a wild card if she wins HOH. If Tim goes up, I predict that he will put up Cassandra and the brothers. I think he'll make that move, but we'll see.
What? No way. I love you so much, and you're one of my closest friends, but I do not think he's playing that kind of game. No way.
No?
No. No, he's not gonna they're right at the end. Do you burn the person that's gone with you the whole time and then they potentially stay in the house? No, you get them like the next week. No way. If he did that, like he'd lose all her trust. And it's too risky. Like you've got Nikki, the brothers, Kelsey, like get them out. Like that's their focus. And then it's go at each other. No way he's going after her. Plus,
I don't know.
I think he's
such he lives to play that type of game. If you watched him in Big Brother Australia, he lives to be on the edge of his seat. He loves the drama. He loves to work under pressure. Even if Cassandra is totally pissed at him the next week, he will thrive in the fact that he'll have to win her back. Like, yeah, I don't know, but this week we kind of also saw the behind the scenes of the fact that both Cassandra and Tim are severely liking on each other a whole lot. We haven't seen any kissy yet, and I'm not sure that we'll see that live because that's not Tim's kind of game, but we saw that there does exist true sexual feelings between the 2 of them, because Tim DR'd it, which also kind of shocked me because that's not usually the game that he plays, but we'll see what the
confidence.
I'm excited to see the finale pictures of what goes on.
He's gonna go down under.
I'm excited to see those.
Oh, he'll stay for
you never know.
He'll like John.
You never know.
You never know.
Who knows? All right. Well, any last parting words?
I'm going to bed after this ends.
All right. Well, thank you everyone that's tuned in live. For everyone that catches us after the fact, we appreciate that as well. From our Nova Scotia hearts to all you Big Brother fans, we thank you so much for tuning in to us. And we will be back next week. Time to follow on Twitter, maybe on Monday. We'll see. We'll have to check that on FaceTime after we are off air live, and look for our tweet to hear when we're live next. Thanks for tuning in.